Okay. Hello, family members. Things are a little weird right now, and I need to share with you something that I've noticed. Um, so, we've just recently gotten information that Graham Plattner has a more detailed accusation against him for sexual assault. And big news, right? But I just wanted to show you something that I had noticed. I want to show you, I've just Googled Piker and Plattner because I've noticed people are starting to go to Hasan Piker, the Twitch streamer, as sort of. And well, let me show you. Because obviously, this is where I started. I saw this Hill article, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I want to see how many people are actually talking about this. This is PBS article here. Means nothing about Hassan Piker in the top line or anything. But as they go through the various responses from people like Rokana and Ruben Gallego and all of that, you don't have to go too far down past that in the article when you come to Hassan Piker. Now, it may be because he's been very open about his and very clear about his position on this as soon as the new details came out. He immediately came out and said, this is what I consider a verifiable sexual assault allegation. I think that you cannot stay in the race after that. He's got to drop out. It's over for him. Da 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 da. Well, it's not just them. I also noticed this in this like local news article. The same thing happened. You don't have to go pretty far down before you come to where they've got Hassan Piker. Now, I do believe it's very funny that Fox News has gone straight up. The whole article is titled about Hassan. But it's very complimentary, really. It's like, oh yes, look at all these quotes, all these very clear, and interesting things this guy says. We definitely need to listen to him. And it's interesting that they find him so credible when he says something against a Democratic candidate. Interesting that, right? I just find it very interesting that we are now seeing so much influence come from a voice like his that is so anti-corporate, not bought and paid for. Obviously he's got his um, dependence or relationship with who he streams with, but then again, there's other platforms that he could work with if he needed to. And so, he's not afraid to say the things that most journalists are afraid to say because he doesn't have that same, concern. What are they going to say against me? It's it's very interesting to me to see how much influence this guy has and how much sensible things he says. I was watching clips of the stream, after all this was coming out, and I came to realize something that I think that you have to really appreciate. Because he's talking to a live chat, people are kind of coming and going, the entire time that he's recording. Because of that, he has to kind of re-explain himself a lot of times, or he'll get people asking variations of the same question over and over again. And so every once in a while I'll stop and do a very detailed, deep, I don't want anyone asking me about this again, I'm going to make it as clear as I can kind of explanation. And then, occasional like callbacks to that, or, preludes to it before he makes that statement. And so he's repeating the same ideas. And so if people who are watching the stream for any length of time are going to be able to retain what he's saying, because repetition really helps with retention of information. And I think that that might be an element of why streaming is such a influential platform that I hadn't really appreciated before watching him explain this simply a few times, very detailed a few times, simply a few times. Like it's interesting, but and I am 100% on the same side as Piker on this one. I do believe that a particular person is not more important than the movement, and this guy needs to withdraw ASAP. There is a close deadline that needs to be met, and he needs to get out of the race and let someone else who, let him take a moment and try to find someone else that he would get behind and could easily and happily endorse, that has, all or similar politics to him, almost all the same politics to him. There are other people who want his platform. That's why there were a lot of people voting for him. Find somebody who likes that and is happy to run on it and get them in there. And I don't even care what they're like, as long as they're not rapists. I cannot say this enough. We cannot advance a sexual assault perpetrator as a candidate. We can't have any tolerance for that. And I have seen a lot of people online saying things like, oh, well, where's the police report? We know women do not report. That is a very common thing. Women don't report. Why don't women report? Because it's a terrible experience. So having a police report, maybe you could say that is something that would support an allegation. The absence of a police report says nothing, literally nothing one way or the other. It just doesn't. Not in this country. I have too many women in my life who were very, very violently abused and did come forward, and they were the ones whose life were ruined, and their accusers maybe, if anything, got a little slap on the wrist and went right back to what they were doing before. That's almost always what you can expect if anything at all happens if you come forward. So the idea that, a police report, a lack of a police report, says anything one way or the other is just ridiculous. And the idea that if someone is being truthful, that they would just say everything all at once, I also don't believe that. It takes a while to feel comfortable to come forward about credible allegations like this. So that's all I got for you, family members. I'll let you go, but I had to let you notice what I had noticed there.